Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast but didn't know where to start? Well, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor is your one-stop shop for podcasting. They have tools that you can edit, add music, all right from your phone or your computer. They'll even distribute your podcast so that it can be heard everywhere like Spotify, Apple, and even on Google. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Good morning, everybody. This is Morning Coffee.
It's time to pour it, stir it up, and serve it up. This is the Morning Coffee Podcast Show, your unofficial wake-up call. Here to help you live your best life and revolutionize your relationships, faith, inspiration, and love. Start your day the right way with Morning Coffee. Here's your host, Tanisha R. Atkins.
Good morning, everybody. You're tuned in to the Morning Coffee Live Show. I'm the host, Tanisha R. Atkins, back with our Friday episode. We are still in season 4, where our topic is we're all in this together. That's what we've been talking about all season long. How to do your best and do your part, whatever, no matter what team you're a part of, your family unit, your church unit, a team, if you're playing sports, if you're on a job, if you're part of the team, whatever you're a part of, whatever organization you're a part of, we're all in this together. So we're trying to help you to transform your thinking to go from I did this and I did that to we did this. We're all in this together. Well, this week we've been taking a little break from that to talk about some family values and give you some nuggets on, it's my birthday week, and my birthday is tomorrow. I know you've been hearing me say that all week long, but finally it's tomorrow. My birthday is tomorrow, and I've been sharing some things that I learned from while I was growing up from my parents, my grandparents, my pastors, my mentors, and just different self-help books that I've read throughout the years. So just to recap this week, we talked about some things I learned from my grandmother about keeping your word, my work ethic that I learned from my grandfather. We talked about just treating people right. So we've had a great week. If you have not checked out this week's episodes, I want to encourage you to go back to Monday's episode and check them out. Life-changing nuggets. Well, today I want to wrap us up and just talk about, just the making of me. I'll call this episode The Making of Me. I told y'all yesterday that I grew up in a single parent home, and it was just my mom and my siblings and I. And I tell you that I would talk to you about some things that I learned from my mom and my siblings. Well, one of the things about my mom, she had kids kind of young, and she's been a single mother, forever. She raised us, without a spouse in the home. And, growing up for me, it was very tough for me to see my mom have to do everything. She just always did everything that she could to make sure that we had what we needed. Like, there were times where she would go without, and as long as her kids were fine, some kind of way she made it happen. I don't know what her magic formula was other than the fact she'll tell you that she just stayed prayed up all the time, and God really gave her the wisdom that she needed to raise us. And none of us have never really been in any trouble or anything like that. None of us have ever just really been sick or anything where we've had to be in the hospital or anything like that. So I'm very grateful to God for that. And if you ask me some things that I got from my mom, I can tell you just her hustle and the way that her ability to make it happen. Her ability to say, it's not working this way. We're going to figure it out because this has to be done. And I really think that that's something that I picked up from her because, when you're doing something, when you're endeavoring to start a business, run an organization, or to accomplish a goal, we all know that sometimes you're going to hit a brick wall. Sometimes, you have to, some things are just going to try to stand in your way. But what I learned from her is that there has to be a way to get this done. Like, there has to be a way, because this is what's needed. And just her ability to say, we're going to stretch it to, we're going to do this, we're going to strategize and figure it out. Like, literally, like, I remember and this was probably right before I turned 18, there was only one incident where we probably was transitioning houses, where we all had to kind of stay with a relative for about a week. And then that was it. And then we were back in the house. And to say that she went from having children at a young age to still be able to, all of us still have our right minds. None of us were hungry. We weren't homeless. Like, that says something about her as a person, because she could have said, I'm not sacrificing my life. Yeah, I had these kids, but I'm not gonna, they're gonna have to fend for themselves, because there's a lot of children that are out here fending for themselves, who parents are overwhelmed and stressed out. But just her ability, my mom to me is like a super strong person. Like, she is the strong one in the family. Like, I don't think I've ever seen her just break down and cry, even after burying her mom and burying her aunts. And like, I recently learned a lot about her story as a child, that she grew up and there was a lot of things that she endured as a child that I didn't know. She ended up witnessing a murder before. And I'm looking at her like, how are you still in your right mind and that happened to you? So she has like super amazing strength that I just know that God graced her for that, even when challenges arise, she's not the one to panic. She's the one to say, look, even if it's bothering her, she never displays it. She always just shows this incredible amount of strength. And, I always just like, God really graced her to say that she was a mother at such a young age, to still be able to keep everything together, not lose her mind, still be able to be resilient and bounce back from things. So, I just endeavor to be like that, to be the bounce back person like that, because that's, like I said, just an incredible amount of strength. And so if we're going to live our best lives, we have to learn to be resilient like that. We have to learn to bounce back from those things that try to take us down. And, I know that as a young mother, my mom was just a lot, because she had kids so young. And even for her to still say, I know what they're saying about me, my mom has always taken care of her kids. And that's what you have to do. People are always going to say things. They're always going to be judgmental and have their little stuff to say. But you know what? You don't owe people any explanations. Was it a great decision for her to have kids at a young age? It wasn't. But guess what? God loves her anyway. He still loves her, and he still looked out for her, and he still blessed her to be able to take care of her children. So I always tell you to focus on the bigger picture, because God loves us, and he knows that, hey, we miss it sometimes. We mess up sometimes. Sometimes we do things that are not just the best for us, but he'll still take that situation and make the best out of it. So it's been an amazing week. I've been enjoying kind of sharing with y'all just how, just how I come to, how I come to be where I get a lot of my thinking from, just from my families and my siblings. We're all blessed to have my mom. I won't talk about them individually on this episode, but we're all grateful for her. I'm grateful for my pastors that have been in my life. I've learned an incredible amount from my pastors. And it's important that you be in a good church. You have to be, excuse me, y'all, my throat this morning. You have to be under the right pastor. You have to make sure, this is why it's important to pray, ask God, what church is the best church for you? Even if you grew up going to that church all your life, because there comes a point in your life where you have to grow. And sometimes when you're at a church so long and you feel like you've plateaued there, you're no longer growing, you have to seek God about that if you're not spiritually growing anymore. So that was a couple of times I had to switch churches for different reasons, primarily because we moved or whatever. But I can look back and say that I learned something from each one of my pastors. So I'm grateful to God. The good thing about God is that God will always guide your life. And if you just tune into him, you'll learn so much if you just kind of think about what you're thinking about, like we talked about on Monday, and really allow life to show you some things. Pay attention to things. Sometimes we talk too much. Some of us need to be quiet. Some of us need to do more reading and quiet meditation time and just sit in there, turn the TV off, and just sit there and listen for the voice of God. Because I am truly grateful that through everything I've been through in my life, like God has taken care of me. When times when I was hurt, when I lost my grandmother and I really literally thought I was going to lose my mind, God literally took care of me and held me until I got better. He nurtured me back to my right mind. And so I'm forever grateful. And that's why I'm so, grateful to be able to be on this platform and talk to you about God and about just living right, listening to him, because even in those dark times, God will still show up for you. He will be there. Like, I can't ever think of a time where I was sad or down and I didn't hear God say, "You gonna be okay." And for me, that has been my saving grace, just hearing him. And if you're not hearing him, you're not tuned into him enough. You haven't spent enough time with him to be able to get that. If you say, "Well, I'm always sad and he don't talk to me," you need to spend time in the word and reading and getting quiet and praying, just praying to him and calling out to him. You will hear his voice and he will walk with you. He will stick by you even when you're not as faithful. I had even times when I wasn't faithful and I went a whole year before without even picking up the Bible. And God still, when I got to a place in my life was just in pieces, he still was able to lead me back and tell me, "You need to get in this Bible and you need to read it." And it has been so life-changing because I've learned so much and I'm able to come and pour into you as he pours into me. So I hope that you all enjoyed the morning coffees and that they are blessing you and changing your life and helping you to change your thinking about some things. But that's it for today. That was this week's episode. I hope that you enjoyed all the nuggets and everything. If you're listening to this podcast and you're on social media, be sure to go on there and let me know what nuggets you learned from this week. And, give me some feedback about the show. And thank you. Some of you have already started giving me happy birthday wishes. I see your messages on social media. So thank you for that. I'm going to, take some time to enjoy my birthday. And then next week, we're going to dive back into this dysfunctional and functional families because we have a lot more to talk about. We haven't even begun our series on kids yet, but we are going to get into it about the families and stuff because we are all in this together. Sometimes your family is all you got and you have to take care of each other. Well, thanks again for listening to my podcast. Be sure to connect with us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Morning Coffee Live Show. I want to thank my grandfather again for tuning in every morning and checking out the show. I want to thank my family for being supportive and just continually to pray for me. And they may not listen to my podcast, and that's okay. But I know if anything ever goes down, my family's there. And that's more important to me anyway. So thank y'all so much. It's been a great, amazing week. I'll see you again on Monday morning. And until then, have a great weekend.
Every day, I wake up with purpose, starting my day with faith and inspiration. Wouldn't have it no other way. Live, laugh, love. Let's make the world better. Give somebody a hug. Let's bring the world back together. With morning coffee, let's have morning coffee. Morning coffee. Start your day with faith, inspiration, and love. Start your day with faith, inspiration, and love.